stairwell door, but I left them open against my return. With Tom Zarnik gone, I'd put padlocks on the doors that all worked to the same key. Zarnik, who'd been the alleged super, during my tenure in the building, had done nothing for the last 2 years but deliver angry tirades against the tenants, so it was no hardship to manage without him. In fact, it had dawned on me lately that the Culpepers probably paid him to speed the Pulteney's disintegration. The brothers were certainly doing what they could to drive our feeble group out ahead of schedule. They'd halted any pretense of maintenance immediately. Next, they tried turning off the utilities. A court order restored electricity and water. Now, it was just their negligence and sabotage against our wits. Mostly, it must be confessed, mine. While the other tenants had signed on to the emergency petition to restore power, none of them ever came below stairs with me to mess with the wiring and plumbing. Today, overconfidence did me in. I was so used to the basement stairs that I didn't shine a light on my feet. I tripped on a loose piece of plaster. As I flailed to regain my balance, I dropped the flash. I could hear the glass shatter as it bounced off the steps. I took a breath. Was Dara Graham's wrath worth worrying about at this point? Would it make sense to go home, get a new flash, and deal with the power in the morning? Besides, I wanted to get to a meeting of the board I sit on for a battered women's shelter. Trouble was, Dara's fee was going toward my deposit for a new office. If I didn't deliver on time, there was nothing to keep him coming back to me. He worked with a number of investigative firms, most of them 20 times my size. I moved crab-like down the stairs. I had a work light and a toolbox stowed by the electrical box on the far wall. If I could get there without breaking my neck on the intervening rubble, I'd be okay. My real fear was the rats. They knew the place belonged to them now. When I shone my flash on them, they would saunter slowly from the circle of light, flipping their tails with oily insolence, but making no effort to silence their scrabbling while I worked. I was fumbling in the dark for an outlet, trying not to feel whiskers in every piece of dangling wire, when I realized the sound I was hearing came from human, not rodent lips. I froze. The hair stood up on my arms. Had the Culpepers hired thugs to frighten me into leaving? Or were these thieves, thinking the building vacant, come to strip copper and other valuables from the walls? I knelt slowly in the dark and shifted to my right, where a packing case filled with wood scraps would give me cover. I strained to listen. There was more than one person in the room. One of them sounded on the verge of an asthmatic attack. They were as scared as I was. That didn't cheer me. A frightened burglar may behave more violently than one who feels he's in charge of the situation. I moved farther to my right, where some discarded pipes might provide a weapon. One of the intruders whimpered and was instantly silenced. The noise startled me into banging into the stack of pipes. They clattered around me like a steel band. It didn't matter. That brief cry had come from a small child. I backtracked to my work light, found the plug, and switched on the bulb. Even after my eyes had adjusted to the light, it took some time to find the source of the cry. I poked cautiously among crates and old office furniture. I peered into the elevator shaft and looked underneath the stairwell. I was beginning to wonder if I'd imagined it when the muffled cry came again. A woman was crouched behind the boiler. 3 children huddled next to her. The youngest was shaking almost soundlessly, its face buried in her leg, an occasional squeak emerging when it shuddered too violently. The biggest, who couldn't have been more than 9